Rose came down bad on his left foot. See him holding onto his knee, and just with the injury. We just talked about the 26 games he has missed late in a game that is already decided for all intents and purposes.
Derrick Rose has announced his retirement, as we all have heard. That was during the 2012 playoffs that you were just watching, game 1 against the Sixers. He gets injured. Tom Thibodeau gets a lot of flack to this day for leaving him in that game. It's just something that hasn't really left people's minds. And he still has that reputation for, really playing players hard, to say the least. But this is not about Tom Thibodeau. We're going to get into Derrick Rose's whole career. And I got a question for y'all. When you hear the names that I'm about to mention, and it's going to be a long list of them, at least 25 or so, you're going to understand where I'm going with this. Karl Malone wins MVP 1998-1999. Next is Shaquille O'Neal, Allen Iverson, Tim Duncan again, 2003-2004, Kevin Garnett. Steve Nash wins MVP 04-05. He wins it again the next year. Dirk Nowitzki, Kobe Bryant. LeBron James wins in 08-09. LeBron James wins in the 09-2010 season. 2010-2011, Derrick Rose. We're going to get into that. LeBron James wins in 2011, 2012. LeBron James wins again. Kevin Durant. Steph Curry wins it. Steph Curry wins again. 2016-2017, Russell Westbrook. James Harden wins it the next year. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Then Giannis wins it again. Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid. And this year, Nikola wins it again. Now, why am I listing all these MVPs? All of these guys, I'm assuming, are going to the Hall of Fame if they're not already in there. Derrick Rose may be the first player to get an MVP and didn't make the Hall of Fame due to his injuries, right? And it's an unfortunate situation, but it's just something I'm going to point out. So my question is Derrick Rose a Hall of Famer despite his career not getting the chance to really become what it could have been? With that said, let's quickly go over his career. He's drafted by the Chicago Bulls, #1 overall. And in that rookie year, 2008-2009, he brings his team to the playoffs. They were 33-49 the year before. They end up losing in 7 games to the Boston Celtics. Now, mind you, this is the Celtics coming off of a championship. I do have to point out, though, Garnett was injured throughout the whole playoffs. He didn't play in this series. So it was just Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. Nonetheless, still very, very impressive for a rookie to take a championship squad to 7 games. The following year, in Derrick Rose's sophomore season, they go 41-41 again, losing the first round for another time. But in this moment, it was against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the LeBron James team. That team already had a lot of aspirations. They were trying to get to the finals, have a LeBron versus Kobe showdown. Unfortunately, the Celtics get in the way of LeBron, and then he ends up leaving. We know the story, all right? The third year, this is the year that is trending where people are talking about him being the youngest MVP. He leads them to a 62-20 season. That's incredible. And I have to point this out. The roster that he's playing with, it's not really that amazing. In his rookie season, his best player was probably Ben Gordon, who was definitely an above average scorer, but we're not talking about someone who was a game changer and made all-star games. Tyrese Thomas was another player that they drafted. Young guy, was supposed to have a lot of potential. Didn't really work out the way they wanted it to be. His sophomore season, they lose Ben Gordon, their 20-point-per-game scorer. Now they're really relying on, let's say, a Luol Deng, a Kirk Heinrich. They got Joakim Noah. But in terms of scoring pieces to help Rose, that wasn't there. Now, the MVP season, they win 62 games. They get Carlos Boozer. That was a great pickup, 2-time All-Star. But this is not Boozer in his prime when he was playing with Utah. So the fact that Derrick Rose had his team consistently in the playoffs, given the roster, then it jumps to 62 wins when he gets a decent piece in Carlos Boozer to help him out. Incredible, to say the least. Now let's continue in this third year. They lose to the Miami Heat. The series went 5 games. This is the Miami Heat team, of course, with LeBron, Wade, and Chris Bosh. This is your third-year player. Everything is on the up and up. Now, this is where, unfortunately, things took a bad turn for Derrick Rose. 2011-2012 season, it's a lockout year. Chicago Bulls go 50-16, another really great winning season with Derrick Rose as the leader of the team. Unfortunately, he gets injured in the playoffs, the first round against the Philadelphia 76ers. What made it worse is they actually ended up still winning the series, the Chicago Bulls, without their best player. The reason why I say that is you could only imagine if they still had him, how far they may have went. Unfortunately, they ran into the Miami Heat again, and without Derrick Rose, you're not beating a superstar team like that, and they lose. This is where Derrick Rose's career went downhill, unfortunately, due to injuries. Before I continue, in fairness to him, I want to play a clip where he's acknowledging that he may not get into the Hall of Fame, but he's still happy due to the accomplishments that he was able to achieve off of the court.
I really set a standard for my family, bro. Like Hall of Fame type of standard, bro. Like right now, I'm in the process of building. I got my own library, bro, that I'm gonna hand off to my family, bro. I'm the first to get an LLC in my family. I'm the first to sign for 8-9 figures. I'm not saying money is anything, but when you're a working man, yeah, I'm the first to do it. I'm the first to do a lot. But those Hall of Fame numbers to me, and don't get me wrong, because they probably don't put me in like the Hall of Fame or none of that.
Continuing along, Derrick Rose misses the entire 2012-13 season with an ACL injury. He returns the year after in 2013 and 14, and the Chicago Bulls won 48 games. Unfortunately, he suffers a meniscus tear. He's dealing with a lot of injury again. So just imagine the Chicago Bulls are still winning games despite Derrick Rose going through these injuries. And at this point, Jimmy Butler is on the team. He's not quite what we know him as now, but he's developing into that star defensive player that we know him to be. 2014-15 season, the Bulls, another winning season. They win 50 games. They lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is when LeBron returns back to Cleveland. He got Kevin Love with him, Kyrie Irving. They lost in the NBA Finals. Tom Thibodeau was fired shortly after this playoff exit in the month of May. Derrick Rose's last season was the year after this, and he still made the playoffs, by the way, with that Bulls team. Throughout this whole tenure with the Chicago Bulls, whether injured or healthy, they're consistently making the playoffs. That will be, to me, his biggest testament when you look back. The fact that he was always consistently in a position to try to win. And you could only imagine what could have happened had he stayed healthy with a guy like Butler being a star. Speaking on what ifs, I'm going to play a clip of Carmelo Anthony, since we are talking about the Bulls during this 2015-ish period where they ended up really breaking up. And you can hear Melo for himself saying that he almost ended up joining that team.
The New York Knicks situation, I was going to Chicago. Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, I was there, right? I was there. And then I started getting whispers behind the scenes. Yo, look, this person ain't gonna be there. It ain't really right. This and that. And it was all of that started to come up in the midst of my decision making. I wasn't gonna let anything cloud that.
That would have been a crazy situation, hypothetical, to happen. The team is already winning about 50 games in the ballpark of that. You got Derrick Rose, Butler. Now you add Carmelo Anthony to the team. They probably would have had to clear up some cap space here and there. Nonetheless, let's continue though with this conversation. One of the most memorable moments for me that I always think about when it comes to Derrick Rose was him scoring 50 points in 2018 when he was on the Timberwolves. For me, I was like, damn, I forgot that he could still do that. It was like a reminder, yo, I still got this skill level. I may not have the athleticism that took me to that other superstar level when I became an MVP, but the base of my skills and what I could do as a guard is still right there. And he reminded me and a lot of people with that situation.
I wouldn't have did this for the franchise.
You did look like Derrick Rose of old, and what did it feel like going through from beginning to end?
I'm doing anything just to win, man. I play my heart out. My teammates told me before the game, just play my game.
With that being said, what do you think about Derrick Rose's whole career? Do you see him going into the Hall of Fame? As I was saying, I listed all those MVPs in the beginning of the video for a reason. I wanted to talk about this conversation and get other people's opinions. If I'm being objective, he's gonna fall short, in my opinion. The MVP is his strongest case, obviously. Him having continuous winning records is another strong point that you could show. But 3 NBA All-Stars, 1 All-NBA team, it just needs a lot more to make that Hall of Fame case. Again, it's not his fault, obviously, with the injuries. Y'all tell me, though, what you think. And as always, salute for listening. Peace.